Hey, what's up guys and welcome to the final episode of What If Naruto Pushed Himself to His Limit. Yes guys, the ending episode, but don't worry, because you guys already know, new series are going to be coming soon as possible for you guys to enjoy. So just sit back, relax and enjoy guys. And I also post the final ending episode of What If Naruto was born in the Uzumaki clan. Unfortunately, I won't be able to post What If Naruto was raised by the Hyuga clan tonight, but don't worry guys, I'll be posting it tomorrow along with What If Naruto was the Otsutsuki King and What If Naruto was given a second chance over an anime king. So yeah, stay in tune for those and I hope you enjoy each and every episode. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So the last spot we left off, Naruto and Hinata went into the village of grass. Going in there as their disguises, when they went to the leader of the village, the man told them they already knew who they were, Naruto Uzumaki and Hinata Hyuga, as Pain was expecting their arrival here, as the both of them were surrounded. But Naruto wastes no time as he uses Hiraishin Kunai and knocked all of them out. But then, Pain hovered over the village, as he held out his hand, as Naruto teleported 2,000 people in an instant as Pain completely annihilated the village. Naruto dropped to his knees as he started to cough up blood. Using the Hiraishin technique like that was very dangerous. As Naruto told Hinata and the others to get out of here now, the man was surprised that Naruto saved his village even after they had waged war against them. As they went away, as Naruto turned to face off against the 6 paths of Pain. Along with his KCM, Naruto was able to tear through their ranks like they were nothing. He already had enough knowledge on them as he ripped through their ranks. They were nothing to him as he broke them down quickly, dismantling all of them as it came down to the final Pain. As Naruto already sent that clone off, as Naruto was currently in stage mode after using up so much of the KCM and he was not bonded with Fox. The both of them clashed against each other before Tendo raised his hand and sent Naruto up in the spear in the sky. As Naruto spoke to Kurama, as Kurama told him that he rather like it here and he doesn't want to be sealed away by that man. As he bumped face with Kurama as the gates exploded open, as Naruto exploded from the ball, his KCM dancing around him. Jumping down there, Pain was not even a match, as Naruto's speed rivaled Hiraishin, just his speed alone. As he moved so fast, Naruto also saw the area around him, everything seemed so slow. As he drive a Rasengan into Pain, destroying him completely. Arriving back at the village, Naruto informs Nadia what happened. She was a bit angry that he went off against the entire Pain by himself, the 6 of them, but she was happy that he was alive and glad to see him okay. Some time passed as Naruto found new jail. She apologized over and over as she told him she will never leave him again. It was then that they waited for the other villagers to send peace treaties or someone to talk to them, but they discovered the other villages were destroyed. As they discovered an army of those white Zetsus, all of the remaining village leaders were called, as me and all of the 5 girls were there. As Naruto brought them all to the special hot spring, and all of them spent a wonderful time together as planned for wars went off. It took at least a week, but everyone got their force ready as everyone was in disarray. But after that powerful speech from Gaara, all of them stood their grounds, ready to fight for their nation and ready to help out this world. They were against the enemy, as the troops spread out across as they went along Gaara's plan. As the reanimation shinobis came on the battlefield, meanwhile, Naruto and the selected others went towards the graveyard where all of the bones were to find Madara, as it was time that Naruto finally ended this by killing that man. As none of them got Pain Body because when Naruto arrived there, Pain Body was already gone, but Madara came in there along with the red-haired girl beside him as she had a patch over one of her eyes. as Naruto gave his small platoon orders as him and the rest of them went off the search area to try and find Madara. So yeah guys, that was basically last we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what do you say begin this new episode? The battle had begun. He didn't know how it was going because he hasn't joined the battle yet. But it didn't matter. This was just a preliminary engagement. As long as his forces did not lose too much, defeat was acceptable. All his forces needed to do right now was weaken the allied shinobi forces, so he could use his trump card. Besides, his prey was already coming here. Victory will be determined by whether or not Madara got the other Jinchurikis. Nothing mattered except for that. As Madara stood in the center of his base, there was a massive tree behind him. It was from this tree that the white Zetsus were being born. The process was still slow. He was using old Hashirama cells to create the white Zetsus. He was not alone though. A girl stood next to him, her red hair marking her as a member of the Uzumaki clan. Both of her eyes looked different. One was red with multiple tomos, and the other was purple and had a ring in it. Tobe, a voice said from behind. He turned to the man, as his body was hidden by a cloak, but he looked like he had scales, where the remaining part of his body could be seen. Kabuto, how goes the process? He did not trust Kabuto, but so long as this man proved to be useful, he will use him. Our forces have engaged the allied shinobi forces. I have sent out most of our reanimation to take charge of the battle, but I'm sure the enemy will figure out a strategy soon. But they should do a good job for at least a few days. Good, said Madara. Also, a team of ninjas arrived. Naruto-kun is with them. Is that so, said Madara. The girl beside him, Karen, shifted. Madara already expected Naruto to take the fight to him. Send your reanimated shinobi out. We will have Nagato and Itachi deal with Naruto friends. Very well, said Kabuto with a mocking bow. As Madara pretended to not see that. Madara, Karen said. Do not worry, said Madara. You will get your chance to destroy Naruto Namikaze. Karen nodded, as she went silent again. As Madara smiled behind his mask, everything was going towards plan. Meanwhile, Naruto felt several of his clones. They were killed, but he didn't know who did it. As the clones did not see who killed them. They felt vertigo though. That meant they had been placed under Genjutsu light before death. Several more clones get dispelled as Naruto stood up and looked over to where his clones were being destroyed. Even as he turned, another clone team was killed, and then another, and then another, and another. Someone was massacring his clones at a quick rate, and the clones could not see them. Whoever has killed my clones is definitely an S-rank ninja. Even though they just have a portion of my chakra, they're still me. Everyone get ready, someone is killing my clones, and they're coming this way. Everyone went on guard, Tenten unsealed a pair of swords. Neji activated his Byakugan, and Rock Lee pounded his fists together. Up above them, Konan and Yuji remained on standby, looking in the direction that Naruto pointed out. But the forest was too thick, they couldn't see anything. Did your clones get a look at the enemy before they died? Kakashi asked as he put his book away and pocketed it. As Sakura tightened her gloves right beside him. No, they killed my clones in quick movements before they could see them. An S-rank ninja, then. Kakashi sighed as he pulled up his headband, revealing his Sharingan eye. Sounds like we will have the fight in our hands. It was like Kakashi's words were go ahead as a black shadow jumped from the foliage. Naruto and the others reacted as they jumped away. The moment they did that, the ground exploded. Landing back on the ground, Naruto looked at the 6-meter wide crater that had suddenly appeared as two people were in front of them. Nagato, said Konan. Itachi, Naruto said. Naruto, Itachi said. I heard from Madara that you killed Sasuke. I wasn't left with much choice. Sasuke was dead set on destroying Konoha, and he tried to kill me. Had I gone easy on him, it would have been me who died. Itachi closed his eyes. I remember you telling me that the last time we met. I did not think that you would kill him though. Had he been the Sasuke I remember, I would have never killed him, Naruto said. I understand why you did it. But I can't forgive you, Itachi said. I wouldn't expect you to, said Naruto. Naruto did not know how Itachi or Nagato was here, but he could make a guess. It was probably the Edo Tensei. That meant that Kabuto was likely here as well. He hadn't realized that Kabuto and Madara were working together. The entire group surrounded them, as Itachi and Nagato didn't even move. They were reanimations after all. The only way to kill them was to seal them. Konan, said Nagato as he leaned against Itachi. I see that you have been living happily with Naruto. Nagato, You don't have to say anything. I realized after Madara killed me, I was being used the entire time. I don't even think that the both of us had the same goal. That won't stop you from fighting us, will it? Asked Neji. They don't think they mean we're being forced to follow the commands of the person who summoned us, Itachi said. Even if we wanted to, I don't. We'll be able to counteract Kabuto's will. Would you even if you could, Naruto asks. I don't know, said Itachi, I'm pragmatic. Which is why I understand that you don't have much choice. But I still don't like the fact that you killed Sasuke. However, I also know the biggest reason for Sasuke's death is because of Madara's influence. Had I made it impossible for Madara to get a hold of Sasuke, perhaps something would have changed. Maybe if you hadn't done so much mental damage to him, he would have been stronger, Kakashi said. It is because you fostered hatred into his heart, made him betray Konoha, and go into Orochimaru, and was ultimately corrupted by Madara. Yes. I suppose I am to blame for what happened, Itachi said. Talking about what could have happened isn't going to get us anywhere, said Yujiro, as she readied her katana. The only thing we can do is move forward. Naruto, leave this. To Konan, Kakashi, Sakura and I. We can deal with these too. I'll leave it to you then, Naruto said. Tenten, Rock Lee, Neji, let's go. Nagato and Itachi tried to stop them, but they were stopped by several paper bombs that struck the ground by Konan as she looked down at Nagato. Moments later, Naruto, there's a person several kilometers up ahead. Appearance, long red hair, not very tall, 2 sets of dojutsus. What, Naruto thought. Be prepared for anything he said. As the group prepared to engage this new enemy. Almighty push! Scatter, Naruto shouted. Everyone leapt away as a tree branch exploded. As Naruto landed on a branch a distance away, Neji landed as Lee landed on the rock and Tenten beside him. Universal pull! As Naruto was pulled violently, he raised his hand and created Rasengan. As he saw the person, it was a girl that was with Sasuke. Just like Neji said, this girl, she had the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. Karen, he thought her name was. She jumped away as his Rasengan smashed into the ground as Karen landed on a tree several distance away. Let me guess, Naruto said. You're here to get vengeance for me killing Sasuke, right? I'm going to kill you for what you did to Sasuke, Kanji said. There were so many things he could have said to that. He could have tried to tell her that it was Sasuke's fault for trying to kill him. He could have said that Sasuke had brought death on himself. He could have raged at her. But he didn't. He knew it was useless to reason with someone who didn't want to be reasoned with. This girl was out for blood. That was all that she wanted. Naruto, Tenten said as she landed. Please, leave this girl to Lee and I and take Neji and go. Alright, Naruto said. Come on, Neji. Tenten and Rock Lee has got this. As he did not argue. You aren't going anywhere, Karen said. She held out her hand, but she had to jump away as several dozen explosive kunais came down on her. Tenten landed as she glared at Rock Lee and Tenten, who stood in her way. Your fight is with us now, said Tenten. Meanwhile, Kakashi, I've seen that you've become better using your Sharingan. It's impressive a non-Uchiha can use dojutsu in that extent. Thanks, said Kakashi. I've been practicing. Unlike battles with destructive jutsu and all that, their battles were really not destructive right here. He and Itachi has been attacking each other with genjutsu and sometimes taijutsu. So far, neither has been able to land a decisive blow on each other. It shows, said Itachi. Tell me something. Do you hate Naruto? Itachi sighed. It is true that I'm angry at Naruto for killing Sasuke, but it's not like I hate him. I watched after Naruto for a few years when I was still in the Anvu. I know he isn't the kind of person that will kill his friend unless he wasn't given a choice. In truth, I blame myself for what happened to my brother. Perhaps if I was stronger, if I hadn't fostered Sasuke hatred, if I had discovered another way, then maybe Sasuke wouldn't have turned out the way he did. I see, said Kakashi, molding his chakras. He didn't want Itachi to notice. I'm glad to hear that. A clone appeared behind Itachi, ready to stab him in the back, but Itachi burst into crows. Kakashi used his Sharingan to dispel the genjutsu, as Itachi was suddenly right in front of him. Kakashi ducked, feeling several strands of the hair get cut off with the kunai that was way too close. Kakashi then jumped away as Sakura came down that boom. The entire place exploded, but Itachi had burst into crows the moment that she hit him. Another genjutsu. As Itachi reappeared, Sakura break the ground and kicked it towards Itachi, who was forced to evade all of them. As Kakashi rushed forward and engaged Itachi in another taijutsu battle. As Sakura then came in from behind, but Itachi must have sensed her as he spun around and avoided her punch. As Sakura jumped back as Kakashi fired out several balls of fire, but they were all avoided by Itachi despite being at point blank range. As Itachi tried to impale Kakashi with a kunai, but Kakashi started coming with his Sharingan as he grabbed Itachi's arm between his torso. As his Sharingan shifted from a regular Sharingan to a Mangekyou. Kamui! Itachi tried, but it was too late, as the ears started to swirl large and black like a vortex, trying to suck in everything. As Kakashi leapt back, Itachi's body was ripped apart by the jutsu. As Kakashi tried to regain his breath, He could probably use that at least 6 more times. Several feet away, Itachi was in 2 parts, but he was still alive thanks to Edo Tensei. You really have grown strong, said Itachi as he spoke. I don't suppose I can make you stay down, Kakashi asked. I'm afraid not, said Itachi as he stood back up. I thought that would be the case, said Kakashi as he sighed. Meanwhile, this had to be the place as Naruto and Neji walked through our cabin walls, their footsteps sounding really loud as they walk. Naruto, there are 2 people up ahead. One of them is in this direction and the other one is in that direction. As Neji pointed at 2 passageways. What do these 2 look like? Naruto asked. One of them is wearing a swirl mask. That would be the one calling himself Madara. And the other? He's wearing a hood, said Neji. He has snake-like pattern on his skin, almost like his skin is made of scales. He also has a tail. A tail? What's he doing? Said Naruto. He's staring at a board with pebbles on them. Yeah, not ringing any bells, but still. Go after that guy, he might be the one using the Edo Tensei. If possible, make him release the jutsu. If not, capture him alive. Alright, said Neji. Be careful, Naruto. You too. And with that they separated. Meanwhile, Konoha was flying above Nagato, trying to keep his aim on her, as Yuji was in the forest, ready to attack. This Nagato was crippled. As he raised his hand, universal pull. Konoha let the jutsu pull her as she flew forward. As she fired off paper shuriken and all of them came at him with even more intense speed because of his jutsu. But he raised the other hand. Almighty push, he said. Konoha quickly dived out of the air, going to the other side as all of her shurikens were blown away. Konoha then gathered her paper. These were not normal papers but paper bombs, a large ball over her head. As she threw it at Nagato, who didn't even bother to move. His body opened up like he was made of machine parts. Several dozen missiles shot from him, striking it and exploding it. The papers got shredded, but Konoha channeled her chakra as she conducted the papers back together. As they shot towards Nagato, who jumped back just in time as they exploded. As she sent more chakra launching them at him. But Nagato raised his hand and a shield came around him as the paper bombs exploded. She flew away as she heard a shout, knowing that he wouldn't get defeated by something like this. Summoning Jutsu. As a massive bird flew towards Konoha. Konoha created a tough wall of paper, but the bird tear right through it. But Konoha went through hand signs as the paper came towards the bird. The paper slips bound the bird as Konoha formed one tiger seal. Kai. The thing exploded in the air, a massive explosion that made the wind howl as a fierce wind smashed right into her. She then looked down to see that Nagato was already fighting off against Yuji, who probably tried to launch a surprise attack. The woman was doing her best, her blade strike at Nagato. This did very little though. Nagato was using the Azure Path. His body glistened with the mechanical part. He raised a hand that split apart as many wires came out of it. One of them wrapped around her blade and tried to yank it, while the others came around her. They would impale her, but Konoha wouldn't let that happen, as Konoha made her papers dense as she sliced right through the wires. Yuji then jumped back as Nagato held out his hand, almighty push, as he blew the both of them away with force. But it wasn't so bad seeing that they were already distance away. As Konoha flew down, as she went towards Yuji's aid. I'm impressed how well the both of you work together, Konoha. It seems the both of you have been acquainted as friends. We have. Yuji is a part of my family, so it's only natural that we would. I see. You found happiness. I am glad. I have always wanted to apologize for what I did. I pushed you and everyone else away. I allowed Madara to use me. In the end, all that did was make me weak to betrayal. I am glad that you left and find a better life before that happened. Konoha felt a small pain in her chest. I had been hoping to save you, she said. Naruto and I were so sure that we could do it, but then the war started. That was my fault. I was the one that lost my way. Do not blame yourself for that. Nagato, she said. It seems this battle would not end unless you seal me, or stop the person, and make him cancel his technique. I am sorry, Konoha. I wish we didn't have the battle. Me too, she said. Meanwhile, Karen held out her hand as dozens of weapons came at her. Almighty push. As Tenten did not falter though, as she got back up and released her 2 scrolls. Hundreds upon hundreds of weapons started to race down. But Karen held up her hand, but she was having trouble. She was running out of chakra. With Lee, his skin was dark red by now, as he went into the 3rd gate. As he bent his knees, Rock Lee moved forward in speed, But Karen saw him with her Sharingan eye. But from the way her eye widened, her body was not accustomed to the speed that he moved, even though she could see it. It was just with Sasuke she could see it, but she could not do anything to stop it. She could not react fast enough, as he smashed his foot into her chin, knocking her straight up in the air. He hit her again, and again, and again, and again. Each strike sent her further up in the air. Finally, he appeared above her and slammed the open palm into her. As Karen struck the ground head first, dust flew everywhere. Fierce winds made Tenten cover her face as Rock Lee landed beside her. When the dust cleared, Karen was lying in a crater, her neck bent at an awkward angle. She wasn't moving or breathing. Rock Lee sighed as he released the 3 gates. "It seems our fight is done," he said. "Looks like it," said Tenten. "I didn't do much more than serve as a distraction," she pouted. "Do not say that. You were a brilliant fighter. You are the blossom of Team Guy." "Are you patronizing me?" she asked. "Of course not." "How could you say that?" Tenten sighed. "Never mind. Let's hurry up and help the others," she said. "I'm sure they could use our hand." Meanwhile, Neji reached his enemy, but the man did not move. Neji Hyuga. I wonder who Naruto would choose for his team. That Byakugan is a boom when infiltrating bases. "You know who I am, but I don't know who you are," said Neji. Something was wrong, Neji thought. This man was far too relaxed. "Oh, but you do know who I am." The man turned and pulled down his hood. "It's been a while since we've met, but I'm sure you recognize me, haven't you?" Neji narrowed his eyes. "I see. Yes, I do recognize you. Kabuto, I haven't seen you since the Chunin exams. You look a lot different." "Indeed, I have changed a lot. I've become stronger. Lot stronger than Orochimaru in his prime. I have surpassed Orochimaru." Know that he had changed his way, there was no telling what kind of troublesome folk he would be. "I was hoping that Anko would be with Naruto-kun. I was hoping to use her curse mark to suppress ninjas that I have summoned. But I guess I was expecting too much. But it doesn't matter, even if I can't suppress them. I can still control their actions. You're not going to be controlling anyone for any longer. I'm going to stop you right here and now," said Neji, as he went into the gent of his stance. "Do you know what Sage Mode is?" asked Kabuto, but Neji said nothing. "It is only something you can learn from 2 places, Mount Miyaboku or Ryuka Cave. I'm going to assume that you learned Sage Mode from Ryuka Cave, but I don't see why I have to care. It's simple. Because with Sage Mode, I have become invincible. Not even Naruto Namikaze can defeat me now. Even if he and Jiraiya fought me at the same time, I would end the both of them. You, a mere Jolene, who barely holds the strength of a genius, cannot defeat me or stand against me in any way possible." As Kabuto's skin started to change, it was now fully covered in white scales. His yellow eyes had slits running through them. Horns came from his head. Kabuto went through hands and his stomach expanded like it was a balloon being filled with oxygen. A strange dragon-like entity flew from his mouth. It was a violent red. It had a strange orb as the thing flew and twisted in the air. The thing exploded in a bright white light. And the sound, a deafening sound. Neji winced in pain as he was assaulted by the sound and light. His Byakugan automatically shut off as his senses were overwhelmed. As he covered his ears with his hand, as blood drizzled down his ear. He couldn't hear anything right now, he couldn't see anything. He was hoping to attack. In the event something like this happened, Neji had only one option left, do something unexpected. Neji expelled chakra from every part of his body. As Neji spin, as the rotation expanded, the thing kept on expanded. Kabuto was on his left and came in fast. As the chakra of the rotation, it covered the entire ear like a sonar. It was then that Neji stopped his rotation. Kabuto was shocked when Neji struck him. Neji then sent a vacuum of chakra right into Kabuto. The light disappeared and the sound stopped. As Neji opened his eyes to see Kabuto staring at him in disbelief. How did you negate my attack?" Kabuto asked in shock. Neji went back into his stance. "You're not the only one that has trained to surpass his limits. Now let us continue. I will show you that being a genius does not mean I cannot pass my own limits." Meanwhile, Naruto watched as a bulge came from the tree. "Ah, I see," said Kayube. "So this is how they are manufacturing their own Zetsu clones. They're using the power of the tree to fuel the production. And that tree has some of chakra of Hoshirama. I can only guess that they're using Hoshirama Mokitan ability and the Biju's chakra to create life. Then we should destroy it. So long as that remain, Madara will have an endless army at his command." "Indeed," Kurama said. "He will need to use something powerful to destroy this tree. A simple double Sengan wouldn't work. And his storm release abilities were too powerful, unless he want to bring this entire mountain down on them." That meant either Sage Mode or new chakra mode that he gained from Kyuubi. Of the two, Sage Mode was probably safer. There was no telling what would happen if he used Kurama Chakra on the thing. Before he could finish gathering nature chakra, a voice spoke up behind him. As Naruto barely had time to turn around as a massive flame in the shape of a spiral smashed into him. He only had a moment to react. His first thing was to use Harashin, but when he tried to do it, he couldn't feel them, any of them. There should have been hundreds all around Mountain Graveyard. Why couldn't he feel them? As Naruto quickly activated chakra mode and created several claw hands that acted as a shield, the blaze washed over him, even protected the heat. Still, seared his skin. His body broke out into a sweat. It felt like blisters were breaking across his skin. Thanks to his regeneration, his body returned back to normal. As he removed the claws that was wrapped around him, Madara was still standing across from him, as his face covered in that spiral mass with his black cloak. I see you are resilient as ever. I was hoping that attack would destroy you. You should know I'm not so easy to be destroyed, Naruto says. He pulled his Harashin kunais and twirled them around his finger. But this is good. I was just wondering where you were. Before I destroy this giant tree, I should really defeat you first. If you think I'll be so easy to defeat, then by all means, come and try it. Naruto tossed one of his three-pronged kunai at Madara and pointed a finger at him. Ranting, send, he said. A large beam of white light blasted from his finger, passing by the Harashin kunai that was still in the air. Madara jumped away from the beam that struck a pillar behind him and detonated. Meanwhile, the kunai had finally reached him. Naruto tried to activate the kunai Harashin right in front of Madara, but he couldn't. What's going on? Are you having problems there, Naruto? Something is wrong. The Harashin isn't working, said Kurama. Something is wrong, said Naruto. I wonder, you're probably thinking why your Harashin is not working. Naruto narrowed his eyes. The reason he could use Harashin was because of something this man had done. He couldn't think of a reason to block or negate, to teleport to his kunais, because no one has ever tried to do that before. So he wouldn't be able to use Harashin in this fight. That was fine, yet other methods of combat. Naruto says he fired lightning at Madara, who dodged it, as Naruto went through hand signs. As Naruto released a large gust of wind from his mouth that blasted through the ground, causing several pillars to came down. But it never reached Madara. A large black hole opened up in front of him as the jutsu was sucked inside. Several massive fireballs then came from Madara towards Naruto, but Naruto summoned a wall of water to block the attacks. As steam rose up all around them, Naruto dashed forward to finish off Madara quickly. Almighty push. What? Naruto was not prepared for the powerful force that smashed into him. He was blasted off his feet as he crashed into a pillar. Pain exploded in his back as he coughed out several globs of blood. Oh, I see. I knew when I saw Karin with a Sharingan and a Rinnegan, you were responsible for that. You might as well take one for yourself, didn't you? This battle is over, said Madara. You no longer have the advantage. I have the Sharingan and Rinnegan now, boy. What will you do? Naruto chakra showed exploded around him as he stood up. Just because you have a shiny new eye, that doesn't mean you can defeat me. Last time we fought, I couldn't use the Kyuubi's chakra like I could now. You aren't the only one that has a new power. Then I suppose we'll see whose power is stronger, said Madara. As he and Madara glared at each other, the both of them was about to throw down. Meanwhile, Konoha was in a crater. Yujiro was above her, holding her blade as Nagato was flying above them, his hand extended down. Konoha knew how he operated. He was going to crush them all under his force. They had done all they could, they fought as hard as they could, but they just couldn't stand up to him. Even crippled, he was an immensely powerful ninja. He had unlimited chakra. There was no chance for them to win. I never thought my end would come like this, said Yujiro. I'm sorry, said Konoha. Why are you sorry? You didn't ask for this. And besides, I don't mind dying beside you. My only regret is that I won't get to marry Naruto and start a family. That was indeed regretful. Konoha felt the same way. She had been looking forward to settle down and create a family, but that wouldn't be happening now. Me too, she said. As Nagato started to channel so much chakra, even Konoha, who was not a sensor, could feel the power emanating from him. Almighty. But Nagato was sent sailing back as somehow Rock Lee appeared next to him and kicked him right in the face. As Nagato was sent sailing away like one of his missiles, obviously not expecting this. Rock Lee landed with a smile on his face. That take care of that, he said. Are you two alright? You haven't lost your flames of youth, have you? Konoha and Yujiro were so stunned they couldn't say anything. What the hell just happened? Meanwhile, Kakashi was sighing, as Itachi just told him that he placed a crow inside of Naruto, so they will have to wait until he come back for him to break the Edo Tensei on him. Why didn't Naruto just stay a little while longer before running off, Kakashi thought. As this battle was becoming more and more difficult, everything that he tried, Itachi just kept on getting up. Meanwhile, bravo, bravo. You truly are worthy of your title. It seems like I've underestimated your ability. But you know, with that kind of strength, don't you think it's unfair you'll never become the head of the Hyuga clan, said Kabuto. As Neji wondered, why was this man bringing up that now? Why here? Was he becoming desperate? Or was this some kind of mind game? What are you getting at, Neji asks. Kabuto chuckled. Do not act so naive. You know what I'm getting at. You've worked so hard, come so far, but your father was born a few minutes later than Hayashi. You are brand new that sea that you cannot escape from. The Hyuga clan cursed you to live a life of servitude. Don't you think that is wrong? Once more, the Hyuga clan exemplify everything that is wrong with Konoha. They force people to do their dirty work and live in dishonor and disgrace. Even you are being forced to comply with Konoha and the Hyuga clan against your will. You are a caged bird, Neji, but I can set you free, Kabuto said, with a smirk. Join me, and I'll break the curse that was cast on you. Neji wondered if this guy was for real, break the curse. Did he really think that he will fall through something like this? Neji then started to laugh. His words were so funny, he couldn't stop himself from laughing. What is so funny? You are, said Neji. You just spent several minutes trying to convince me to betray my family and my village without knowing the truth. I haven't been caged for years. Ever since my battle with Naruto at Chunin exams, I've been free to make my own choices. Even if I had the birdcage seal on my forehead, I was still treated with dignity and respect. However, your information is a little outdated. As Neji reached up and undid his headband, Kabuto's eyes went wide. There was nothing there. Thanks to Naruto Namikaze, the birdcage seal has been dissolved. It hadn't been announced yet, but thanks to Naruto, the Hyuga clan is removing the birdcage seal, and they're placing a new seal that will go on every member regardless, branch or main family, and this one will not cause any pain at all. Sorry, Kabuto, but if you think your words are going to sway me, you're sadly mistaken. Kabuto's shoulder twitched several times. He was holding by the anger. So I see. To be fair, it was a long time since I spied on Konoha. My information is a bit outdated. I would say a lot out of date, said Neji. It doesn't change anything though, said Kabuto. You can't beat me. I don't have to beat you, Neji said. I just have to keep you occupied long enough for Naruto to defeat Madara. Konoha did not expect Nagato to come back so soon. Is there a way to undo this jutsu? Asked Lee. Seeing that Nagato did not want to fight, he was being forced. This jutsu is most unyouthful. I do not know of a method to undo this jutsu. What I know is that you have to follow the jutsu caster will. Nagato, said Konan, I want to apologize for everything that happened. I already told you, Konan, you do not have to apologize. It was my fault. I want to change the world. I want to bring peace to the elemental nations, but I got so caught up in achieving my dreams that I did not see the path that I was being led down. You have nothing to do with this. My dreams, they changed. They were corrupted a long time ago. That's not true, said Konan. I have a lot to thank you for, because it's of you that I'm even here. If you hadn't saved me back then, if you hadn't rescued me, I wouldn't be here anymore. And in the end, I also pushed you away, said Nagato as he shook his head. So what, she said. You think that changes anything that you accomplish? It's thanks to you I'm still here, and because I'm here, I can continue your dreams, she said. Konan, he said. Let me be the one to accomplish the dream we both shared, Konan said, as she placed her hand against her chest. I'll bring peace to the new reign. I'll bring peace to the entire elemental nations. Believe in me, Nagato, she said. Nagato smiled. Yes. I'll leave it up to you then, he said. At that very moment, his entire body was enveloped in a bright white light. What's going on? Konan asked. Nagato chuckled a bit. It seems the jutsu has somehow been released. If I have to guess, I would say that talking to you has given me some kind of closure. Thank you, Konan. I hope you live a happy and wonderful life. As he spoke, his skin started to peel off, as the corpse dropped down to the ground, freeing Nagato's soul. Tears stung her eyes, but she did not allow them to fall, as she just looked at the spot where her friend had fallen. I will. I'll make your dream become a reality, she said. Meanwhile, almighty push! Naruto could only assume that he had stolen the Rinnegan from Nagato after he defeated Nagato. And now Naruto could use his Harashin and Madara had the Rinnegan. Neither of them had landed a serious blow on the other. Several pillars collapsed, though Naruto had to dodge them after they were struck by the almighty push. Dust filled the entire area around them. Naruto pointed his finger at where Madara had been last, Bikurai, as he sent a beam of lightning. He waited for 1 second, and then 2. An explosion went up, shaking the ground. As Naruto created 2 clones as he rushed out alongside one of the clones, the other went elsewhere. They didn't use any fancy tactics. It was a straight up assault. Several large claws extend from his back that attack Madara, who activate Kamui that sucked them up before they could reach him. Naruto flinched as he felt some of Kurama's chakra get sucked into Kamui, but he retracted. His claws and left back, the clone was already in position in way. Rasen Shuriken! A loud shrill whistled around them. The Naruto clone extended the 9 claws falling from his back. Each claw hand held a Rasen Shuriken, a miniature one, as it was like dozens of steel swords grinding against the rock with a sound clashing. Madara looked up as a vortex appeared above him. The clone wasn't able to stop himself from falling right in the vortex as it consumed him. Naruto blinked as he received the memory of his dispelled clone. What was those coffins, he thought to himself. Before his clone dispelled, he saw coffins. He had to quickly jump away from Madara's massive fireball that came towards him. It's time that we end this, said Madara, as the swirling vortex opened up as 5 coffins came out. Naruto watched with shock as all the lids dropped. It was the Jinchurikis. It seems like you turned the Jinchurikis into your path, said Naruto. Well, not anyone would just do. I needed strong ninjas who were able to fight on par with you. Well, you certainly have chosen some troublesome opponent for me, Naruto said. Naruto said, Kurama, I know. With that Rinnegan, their vision is probably linked together the same way Pain was. On top of that, they have the Sharingan, which means they'll be able to track my movements. Since you have proven to be such a troublesome opponent, I can no longer afford to take you lightly. I will defeat you here and now. Let's see you try that, said Naruto. The 5 Jinchurikis' tails extended from their backs just after him. Killer Bee was in the lead. Ranten, Rasen Shuriken Naruto says he combined Storm released the Rasen Shuriken. As Naruto thrust one of the claw hands towards Killer Bee with the Rasen Shuriken, but it missed. Naturally, but he wasn't Naruto true aim. As Naruto changed the attack straight towards Madara. As Madara jumped out of the way of Naruto's attack. The Mizukage and 6-tailed Jinchuriki moved in and cut his chakra claw. As the Rasen Shuriken dissipated before it could cause any damage. Killer Bee and the old man attempted to attack him up close, but Naruto had no intention of making him doing that. As Naruto sped through a series of hand signs, his chakra exploded. Lightning burst from his body. A fierce wind smashed into Killer Bee and the old man, swirling them around, and turned into a pair of cyclones. As sensing if they were catching the lightning, sought out the cyclones. At the same time, Naruto spat out several streams of water. Lightning, wind, water combined to create a destructive attack. The 2 cyclones lit up as they destroyed everything in their path. The ceiling finally gave way, caving in and raining down destruction on everyone. Naruto jumped away as several lava came out of one of the cyclones, as one of them hit his skin. As the Mizukage and the 6-tails rushed towards him, the 2 attacked him same time, as Naruto was moving back, but something smashed into his side. As he smashed into a pillar, it was a man in armor. Steam came from his fist. He must have been the Gobe, the 5-tailed dolphin horse. By combining fire and water, he was able to use boil release. That was steam. This isn't good, said Naruto. You're just now realizing that? Be quiet, Naruto said. As Naruto jumped away as heat blasted him right in the face. He didn't even have time as the Mizukage and the 6-tailed came at him. We should have expected this. Seems like we're caught in that man's trap, but fortunately, one good thing came from this. And what's that, Naruto asked. We now have proof that you're an idiot, said Kurama. Naruto ducked under a blade of water only to run straight into several bubbles. He scrambled backwards, but he wasn't fast enough as one of the bubbles touched him, as the thing sent him sailing away with an explosion. This is not good. In a one-on-one battle, he could take down any one of them, but it was just so much of them. As he wondered what happened to his Harashin, there wasn't any way for someone to seal off his Harashin. If that man knew how to do it, why just now? Was used as space-time due to disrupt its ability to travel through kunai. What is this? A voice said from above. Weren't you saying something about defeating me? Why are you just standing there? Naruto sent a chakra claw at Madara, as it phased right through Madara. You should know by now attacks like that don't work unless you got the right timing. As Madara waved a finger at Naruto like he was taunting him. Did your previous battle teach you nothing? Or have you grown so desperate you will attack even though nothing will happen? Well, not that it matters. The moment I touch you with his hand, he said, raising his left hand, it will all be over. Several more bubbles descended upon Naruto as he jumped away, but they went off as he was sent sailing, as he dropped to the ground. As that was happening, Naruto started to carve a seal right on the ground. His finger was glowing. As Madara jumped down at him as Naruto activated his seal. Nothing happened, Madara said as he placed a hand on Naruto's head again. But nothing happened once more. Naruto then brought up his hand and fisted Madara right in the face. As Madara smashed into the top of the ceiling, to his surprise and shock, thinking that the attack would phase right through him. As Naruto looked up, "You use a seal to block my space-time ninjutsu," Madara said. "That's very impressive. I expected no less from Namikaze's son. You truly live up to your name." On the ground below, the resurrected Jinchurikis gathered all around Naruto. "Being complimented by you doesn't make me happy by any means, you know, for a man who called himself Uchiha Madara. You really disappoint me. I heard from Kurama, and Kurama told me that Madara would never use anyone's power but his own. You aren't Madara. That begs the question, who the hell are you? Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm going to take the Kyuubi from you. Then I'm going to go after the Ichibai, and the Nadabi, and then the Nibi. I'll take them all and complete my plans." That will never happen. The six-tailed Jinchuriki was trapped as paper bombs wrapped around him before they detonated. Rock Lee burst into the room, his body pulsing with power as he kicked the go-by Jinchuriki in the face. His kick was so powerful that the man's head exploded. Literally, the entire head turned to ash and the body fell to the ground. But the head regenerated though, but it was still impressive. A scroll then appeared as there was a burst as several dozens weapons rained down on the Mizukage. Three Ujos leaped through the pillars as the three of them attacked the unbiased Jinchuriki. One was destroyed by globs of lava, but the others reached him as the two of them cut right through him. He recovered, but B not undead and all, but she attacked him over again as B tried to attack Naruto, but a wall of paper come in front of him. "Go after Madara," said Konan. "We will handle these, guys." "I understand, thank you," Naruto said, as he got up and rushed after Madara. Madara saw Naruto coming as he held out his hand. Almighty push. Naruto created a clone as the clone threw him right out of the jutsu's path. 3 chakra claws came from his back as the clone was destroyed. 3 Rasengan form in each one. A Rasen Shuriken, a Lightning Shuriken, and an Ice Shuriken. The first one to reach him was the Ice Shuriken as Madara jumped away as the thing froze the ceiling. He then phased right through the Wing Shuriken. He then came in to phase right through the Lightning Shuriken as the chakra claws came upon him in seconds behind him. Screaming could be heard. Naruto grinned as Madara, whoever he was, became engulfed in a massive spear of destruction. As the spear then expanded, Naruto realized he has a problem, as everything was getting destroyed, as fearsome winds howled. It was then the entire place started to break apart, as a swirling vortex started to suck everything in. As his friends were being sucked in as well, as Naruto created chakra hands and grabbed them, as the other 5 chakra claws dig into the ground and pull him down so he wouldn't get blown away as well. As the ground was being pulled into the vortex, thanks to the power of his 2 powerful jutsu, the walls were destroyed to the mountain. As Naruto rushed outside, the others still caught in his grasp. When he was a distance away, he set everyone down as he watched the entire left side of the mountain became enveloped in a mass of pure destructive energy. The chakra then dispersed a loud bang as a shockwave came out, causing all of them to cover their faces. The shockwave then died down after a while as everyone looked at the mountain. Except there was no mountain. All that remained was a crater. "That is some seriously powerful jutsu," said Tenten. "Yosh," Rock Lee said. "Naruto Flames of Youth are very powerful indeed. He can destroy an entire mountain." "I must train so I can destroy an entire mountain as well," he said. "Yeah, sure, whatever," said Tenten. Naruto then looked around. "What's wrong?" asked Yujiro. "Where's Neji?" "I'm right here," voice said behind them. As everyone saw Neji walking over to them, scratches and lacerations all over his body. Being dragged behind him by a giant snake tail was... "Is that Kabuto?" Naruto asked. "Yes," Neji said. "Huh. I completely forgot about him." "Do you think Madara is dead?" asked Konan. Naruto tilted his head. "I can't see him surviving that. Don't know about those reanimated Jinchuriki though. Maybe we should confirm whether or not he's gone," said Yujiro. Opening his mouth to say that was a good idea, Naruto was unprepared for the pain that stabbed into his back. It was like someone pierced him with a spear. His world felt like it was overwritten with pure pain. He thought he heard someone scream, but he couldn't tell what it was. It was like everything was far, far away from him. The scream, every talking, everything. As he blinked several times, he then looked up as he saw Kurama. "Looks like you got careless, brat." "What do you mean?" Naruto asked. "That fate Madara just stabbed you in the back, honestly. How could you let yourself get surprised like that? Aren't you supposed to be the master of surprise or something like that?" "Huh, so that's what happened. Am I going to die?" Naruto asked. "Don't be stupid. An injury of this level won't kill you. But pray that you wake up in time. Your friends are fighting in your place. Even though he's a fake, there's still no chance. But it's difficult. In terms of power and strength, I seem to be the stronger one, but he's a lot more cunning. And that damn space-time ninjutsu. You should create a seal that completely negates it, Kurama said. Well, the last one that I made was temporary. I need to make one that's more permanent. The only question or not is whether I'll be able to create it in time. Then you better get cracking, said Kurama. As Naruto started to think about everything you know about Madara phasing through his head. Meanwhile, a few minutes earlier back in the real world, Yujiro watching out her shock as Madara just stabbed Naruto right through the back. She wanted to scream, but the words died in her throats. As another scream came, but it was from her, it was from Konan. As she summoned up mass of papers, as she sent them flying straight towards Madara. They merely phased through him, but Konan didn't seem to care. Lee, Tenten. Form up on me, said Neche. Right, Yosh. As Neche and Rock Lee used Taijutsu, as Tenten fired off dozens of kunais after kunais, shurikens, all type of weapons, but they just kept on phasing right through him. Do you really think that any of your attacks can work on me? None of you have what it. Madara stopped in his tracks as Neche struck him with a palm thrust. It smashed into his chest and sent him flying backwards. He was sent skidding across the ground. How? I don't have to tell you how I managed to get past your phasing ability. Lee, Tenten, on it. Youth, said Lee. The three of them attack once more. Again, Madara phased through their attacks, but he couldn't stop Neche's. As she watched from the sidelines, Yujiro wondered how he was able to do that. As she quickly rushed over to where Konoha was holding on to Naruto. Is he okay? She asked. He should be. The wound in his back is already healing, so he's not in any danger. The only problem we have is him. As Yujiro narrowed her eyes at Madara, but she was happy that Naruto was okay. As Konan ran a hand through Naruto's hair. If he finished off those three, he's gonna come over here and try to date Naruto. Madara Jutsu has one weakness. He can only maintain his intelligibility for 5 minutes. But it seems that Neche has found it the other way. He's probably using a variation of Shigafune, said Naruto opening his eyes. Naruto, Konan said, and Yujiro at the same time. Are you alright? The both of them asked. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto said. Listen, I have a way to defeat him, but I'll need your help. Meanwhile, every time Neche's attack hit, and Madara would always get sent railing. While they worked together, Tenten was in the back, firing long-range support. As that helped, keep him from realizing how Neche was distorting his space-time ninjutsu. Thanks to his Byakugan, he already knew that Naruto's up and ready to start fighting. His plan was to distract Madara, as he could see Naruto talking to Konan and Yujiro. They were planning something. Neche thrust his hand out at Madara. A powerful wave of blast chakra came out of it, concealed in that blast of wind. It was very small, a small seal that disrupted his space-time ninjutsu that made the attacks hit him. As he stumbled back, Rock Lee appeared behind him with a powerful spinning kick that sent Madara sailing. As Tenten then released a barrage of weapons with explosive on them that surrounded the entire area in dust, as it was time for the trio to make their move. Konan flew up in the air as Naruto was running aside Yujiro. Yujiro reached him first as he swung her blade, as Naruto hung back on purpose. It phased right through Madara, who tried to attack her back, as he grabbed her roughly, but a kunai tear right through his hand, as Naruto had thrown it with wind chakra enhanced. As long as he's touching someone, he can't become intangible. As both him and Yujiro then started to fight. While one attacked, the other one waited for him to touch him and then attack him back, as that got them a lot of slashes and cuts on him. But he realized their tactic. He no longer tried to attack, he went straight into defense. He couldn't hurt them, but they couldn't hurt him either. High above them, Konan went through hand signs due to that Naruto shoulder. It worked best for her, as Naruto had several clones all around the area that was working a jutsu that would keep Madara still from moving. The only thing was to maneuver him to that location. As Naruto and Yujiro kept up the pressure, as they forced Madara to move up to a certain area, him not really knowing what was going on, just jumped away from them and landed a few distance away. The moment he landed, what the hell is this? He was trapped by a dome of chakra. This is your end, said Naruto. Before a large swarm of paper covered in seals descended down, Madara tried to phase through them, but the seals activated. He screamed as his entire body became covered in the tags all around him, wrapped him tightly so he could barely see his cloak or anything. As he became completely immobilized, as Naruto dashed forward, Rasengan, he says, he smashed it right into Madara's chest. The Rasengan grind right into him, blowing his chest to pieces as his echoing screams are the last thing. As a huge gaping hole was remaining as he dropped to the ground, his lifeless body. As everyone looked around, They had to get back quickly, as they brought Kabuto back and also Madara remains. And, with a crow regurgitating right out of Naruto's mouth, Itachi was able to use a technique to make Kabuto reverse the Edo Tensei. And, with the white Zetsu just remaining, things were easy to completely annihilate all of them, ending this war once and for all. As the group went back to give off their report, as their mission was a success, Madara was defeated, Kabuto, mobilized, and the Edo Tensei was finished. It was time for them all to just relax. Time skip. Naruto was sitting behind his desk, as there was a small computer in front of him as he finished typing up what he's doing. A knock came on his door. "Come in, Yu-Gi-Oh," he said. As Yu-Gi-Oh came inside, as she was still beautiful as ever, things have not changed so much in the last 15 years. She wasn't wearing her envoy gear anymore because she was no longer an envoy, as she was carrying a large stack of paper. "These are the reports from the Shinobi Academy," she said as she set the file on his desk. "I have already created copies for the filing department. Here," she said as she placed a USB drive on the paper. "Documents are also in here as backups." "Thank you," Naruto said as he inserted the USB inside his computer. "So how is the new batch of ninjas?" 50-50 mix of Shinobi and non-Shinobi families. But the children who doesn't have any ninja background are keeping up well enough, seeing that the library gives them no advantage to study the ninja basic use and movements. As Naruto looked at her, as she had a smile on her face, she knew what he was really wanting to know. As she then smiled, a big proud smile. "Don't worry, our daughter aced all of her entrance exams." Naruto grinned. Of course she did. She's our daughter after all. It had been 10 years since Naruto became Hokage, becoming Hokage at 19 years of age. Several things have changed. The first was that no children under the age of 13 was allowed to enter the academy. All children who entered spend 1 year mastering the basic and increasing their physical abilities. Another year learning their chosen special ninjutsu, genjutsu, medical ninjutsu, fuinjutsu, kinjutsu, etc. And another 2 years taking D-rank missions, sparring with their Jonin sensei and learning teamwork. There was no need for children to go out in the field anymore. All children graduated at age 16. Even geniuses were not allowed to graduate before that. Later reports show from the science department that children who were in flux with violence at an early age became unstable. Such result from Sasuke, so Naruto was planning to avoid any of that. "Whose class did Kirasaka end up in?" Naruto asked. "Yujito." "I'm not sure how that's going to turn out," said Naruto. "I'm sure Yujito knew not to show favoritism. She did not do it when she had Kirei in her class, I guess. Also, I don't think I need to remind you, but the meeting is later today," said Yujiro. "Don't worry," Naruto said. "I'll be sure to have all the paperwork done before then." She leaned over and gave him a kiss as she headed off. After a while after finishing his paperwork, Naruto stood up and put on his Hiyori as he left. As he was greeted by the ninja's office workers who passed him, as he waved and smiled back, as he reached a circular room. He stepped inside as his place activated with all kinds of seals, and then he vanished. As he reappeared in another room that looked identical, but he was no longer in the Hokage's office. Several guards were there waiting for him. They had on a long black jacket, their headbands wearing the symbol of the Allied Nation. Lord Hokage wanted him greeted. "Please allow us to escort you to the meeting room." "Thank you." As he was brought to the meeting room, a round table was in the center of the room. There was a number of people already there. "Naruto!" Koike get up from her seat and greeted him with her usual enthusiasm. As Konan stood up and came over as well, greeting him in a calmer manner than Koyoke, meaning she didn't use her tongue when they kissed. "It's good to see that you're actually punctual this time. Don't say that like I'm always late. Last time I ran late because Kiri had painted the Hokage's monument." "That sounds familiar for some reason," said Koyoke that teased. Konan smiled. "Can't imagine why." "Yeah," said Naruto that smiled. "He take after his old man." "I hope that doesn't mean our world is doomed," said Gaara, as he was sitting. "Not doomed, just in trouble," Naruto said. "How are the kids?" "They're doing well," Gaara said calmly. "They've been asking me when Uncle Naruto is going to visit next. I am not sure what you did to make my children love you so much, but you're all they talk about." "I couldn't say," said Naruto that smiled. As Naruto took his seat between Konan and Koyoke, as they converse about non-work subject, mainly about their kids, Yaiko and Nagato were with their nannies since they weren't old enough to be left alone. Sosetsu was in his final year at the Ninja Academy in the Land of Spring. Like all of his kids, Naruto had taken to train them personally when he had the time. Sosetsu excelled at Hayaton, base ninjutsu, and kinjutsu. He'll be taking his graduation test soon, said Koyuki. I'll have everyone take some time off so we can watch graduation, said Naruto. We'll surprise him by having the whole family get together. Koyuki smiled. That would be nice, she said. Speaking of the whole family getting together, what time should we head over for dinner tonight? Asked Konan. Naruto tilted his head as more people arrived as Mei walked in and noticed them. She waved. Since there were so many people now, she couldn't start chatting with them. How about we just pick up the kids and head over right after this meeting? Can't, said Koyuki. I still have some work I need to finish. And I need to file some papers into the raid, said Konan. Unfortunate, said Naruto with a sigh. Looks like I'll be traveling alone. After that, the meeting started. As they went over the reports of the allied shinobi nation, everything. Later that day, Naruto came home finally. As he hung up his coat, he wondered where everyone was, until he heard sparring. As he went to the backyard to see Yujito and Yujeo watching two of their kids spar, as Yujito had Darui against her hip. Their youngest child was a 6-month-old. He couldn't even speak yet, as Naruto tried to sneak up on her. I hope you're not trying to sneak up on me, said Yujito. As he paused, his hands that were about to block her eyes paused, as Darui looked up at him. Of course, Naruto said, lowering his arms. That wasn't a very smooth save, Yujito said. I don't know what you're talking about, Naruto said, as he kissed her cheek. As he kneeled down and ruffled his blonde-haired son, as he gave Naruto a toothless smile. As Naruto looked over, Kirisaka has improved a lot, he said. Kiri is still better though, Yujito said. He's also older and stronger, Naruto said. Kirisaka has flexibility on her side, said Yujeo. However, we haven't started to teach her anything too complicated. As Naruto spent another minute watching two of them spar, being older and a much bigger boy, Kiri was a lot bigger than Kirisaka, as his hair was blonde and looked like a giant ass lightning bolt sitting on his head. As Kirisaka, her hair was a light purple. As Naruto placed a hand to his mouth, alright, that's enough you two, you should get cleaned up. The rest of the family is coming over. You don't want to be all sticky, seeing your brothers and sisters. Dad, Kirisaka said. She rushed over, she leaped as he caught her and spun her around. Were you watching us, Dad? She said. Did you see? I'm getting stronger. You saw, right? You did. Naruto chuckled as he ruffled her hair. I did see. And you will only get even more stronger, seeing that you now entered the academy. It doesn't matter, she won't be able to defeat me, said Kiri, as she stickled her tongue at him. You two should head to the shower, Naruto said. Everyone's coming over soon. As Naruto already taken a bath before he got here, at the tower. As Yujito and Yujiro went to take a bath as well. He didn't join them because he was just going to get messy again. And then they would have to take another bath again. And then things are gonna escalate again. And yeah. As Naruto went down to the Harashin room to greet them before they arrived. But Mei already arrived with their daughter. As Mei looked at Naruto and smiled as he stepped forward and kissed her. As the 5-year-old Kushina looked up at them. That's disgusting, she said. Oh, said Naruto. I guess you don't want kisses anymore, since you're so gross. She turned her head. I didn't say that you couldn't kiss me, she said. I said what the both of you did are disgusting. You shouldn't stick your tongue in her mouth like that. I mean, how shameless can the both of you be, she asked. Naruto grinned as Mei giggled. As Naruto kneeled down and kissed her right on the forehead. As Naruto picked her up as she hugged him, wrapping her arms around his neck. Her little baby arms. So, where's everyone? Yujito and Yujiro are in the bathhouse. The way Mei's eyes lit up was kind of scary. Thank you for telling me, she said. I think I'm going to say hi. Just don't keep them there for too long, said Naruto. Come on, he said to Kushina, as he went up the stairs. As Naruto was thinking about his life as he went up the stairs. Every day has been so fulfilling. He didn't know if it would last forever. He didn't know if peace would reign for eternity. But he knew if the time ever comes to take up arms and fight, the younger generation will be ready for anything come their way. Naruto Namikaze was making sure of that. And yeah guys, this is where this episode ends. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for all of your support on this series. Thank you for everything and thank you guys for enjoying. And yeah, don't be sad because you already know that new what ifs are coming very soon for you guys to enjoy. But for now, I'm out of here guys. Peace.